When Fede Valverde was making his debut for the national team, I was already seeing the similarities between him and Steven Gerrard. This is what one of the best strikers of this generation, Luis Suarez, told the world back in 2017, and he actually has the point to say so. This was Steven Gerrard against West Ham in 2004. And this is Fede Valverde against Rayo Vallecano exactly 20 years later. Let's see another example. Gerrard against Luton Town in 2006 and Valverde against Celtic in 2002. Yes, the resemblance between the two is fascinating, but you know what's obvious? Fede Valverde can go even further in terms of greatness, and that's exactly what Carlo Ancelotti told the media after being asked about Suarez's statement. I agree, yes, he has a lot in common with Gerrard. I think he can reach Gerrard's level and beyond. So, we've talked about the famous resemblance between the Uruguayan and the Englishman as far as long shots are concerned. But is the similarity between the two limited to just that? Well, obviously not, because Fede Valverde has at least 5 other similarities with Stevie G, and by the end of this video, you'll be blown away by some of the facts that we've missed all this time. And before we get to them, let's talk a little about his contribution to Real Madrid in this, let's say, not so impressive campaign. Of course, with the disclaimer that we often talk about Madrid performing relatively poorly in the first half of the season, and then 3 or 4 months later, we see them lifting the La Liga title, the Champions League, or even both. And Federico Valverde is one of the main reasons why. Extremely versatile, a real powerhouse, the engine of Real Madrid. You can be absolutely sure that this Madrid team, they wouldn't have been the same without Fede Valverde. People can talk all they want, but I just can't imagine Jude, Mbappe or Vinny getting as much praise if it wasn't for Valverde running his lungs out back and forth for 90 minutes straight. Yes, we often tend to overlook his importance to the team, but let me remind you of something. Surely, one of the most painful defeats of the season, one that could potentially hand the title to either Barcelona or Atletico Madrid, was the loss to Real Betis. Well, Los Blancos were so bad in that game. I wouldn't be too far off the mark if I were to say it was one of Madrid's worst performances in months, that they allowed Betis an expected goals of 2.39, which realistically means they could have easily scored 3 or even 4 goals. 18 shots to 9 for Real Madrid, and an overall superiority for Betis, and one of the reasons for this was the absence of Valverde, but that's not the only striking example. Against Real Sociedad in the Copa del Rey, the home side had at least 2 great chances to score, and the result could have easily been 1-1 instead of a shaky 1-0 for Madrid. Proof that, once again, Valverde's absence made life difficult for Los Blancos. Now, as we move on to the striking similarities between the Uruguayan and Steven Gerrard, let's talk about his early life and how exactly he found himself in the Real Madrid B team. Valverde's professional career began in his birthplace, the city of Montevideo, the capital of Uruguay. From a young age, he displayed an incredible work rate and talent that led him to join the youth ranks of Peñarol, one of Uruguay's most prestigious clubs. His exceptional performances at youth level quickly propelled him into the senior ranks of the team in 2015, marking the start of his professional career. Yes, for those of you wondering, that was when the famous Valverde voice crack video was recorded in a post-match interview. Yes, having already established his reputation, many haters tried to disrespect him by sharing this video from his youth days. But hey, who's laughing now, when Valverde could easily be described as one of the top players in world football? Afterwards, Valverde's potential did not go unnoticed on the international stage, as in 2016, aged just 18, he secured a move to Real Madrid. Initially, he acquired the understanding, awareness and ability to play for one of the biggest clubs in the world, with their reserve team, Real Madrid Castilla, before earning a loan spell at Deportivo La Coruña for the 2017-18 season. That spell helped him adjust to the demands of top-flight Spanish football, and after making a respectable 24 La Liga appearances for Deportivo in a relegation-threatened season, Valverde returned to Real Madrid in 2018. Since then, Valverde has gradually worked his way into the first team. It could be argued that he really felt like a first-team player in the 2019-20 season, as he finished the campaign with 2 goals and 5 assists in 44 appearances in all competitions. As far as Gerrard's path to fame is concerned, there is one interesting fact that he has a lot in common with Fede Valverde. Interestingly, they both won their first, and in Gerrard's case the last, Champions League in their 6th season in the men's game for Liverpool and Real Madrid respectively. Yes, Steven Gerrard's first association with Liverpool was technically in 1989 as a 9-year-old, but he didn't start playing for the senior side until a decade later, in 1999. Then, 6 years later, he played in his first Champions League final in 2005, when Liverpool completed one of their most iconic comebacks against AC Milan. On the other hand, when it comes to Valverde, the Uruguayan arrived at the Santiago Bernabeu in 2016 and won his first Champions League exactly 6 years later, in 2022. And as fate would have it, it was against the club of Gerrard's heart. What is more, they both made valuable contributions in those two finals. In 2005, Gerrard scored Liverpool's first goal to spark their comeback in Istanbul, while in 2022, Valverde assisted Vinicius for the only goal of the game. You could imagine for yourself whether Liverpool and Real Madrid would have won the most prestigious European trophy if Gerrard and Valverde were not available on these iconic nights of football. By the way, if you like our content, don't hesitate to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our future uploads. Now, let's talk about another major similarity between the two, their style of play and versatility. Since his Real Madrid debut, and especially during the Carlo Ancelotti era, Federico Valverde has been the epitome of the modern midfielder, combining technical prowess with remarkable adaptability. Primarily deployed as a central midfielder, his tactical intelligence and, above all, his intriguing endurance allow him to switch seamlessly between defensive and attacking roles. Valverde makes the most of his defensive skills, intercepting the ball on time and tackling hard to provide stability for his team's backline. In fact, Federico is 7th in La Liga in interceptions per 90, with 1.9 per game, and the best of any player from any team currently in La Liga's top 5. Offensively, his composure and accurate passing catalyze quick counterattacks that often catch the opposition off guard. Rodrigo's goal against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League round of 16's first leg was a case in point. He picked up the ball on the halfway line, spotted Rodrigo's late run into the final third, and dropped a brilliant ball behind Javi Galán. And of course, how could we forget his number one skill, his ability to cover a lot of ground during matches. In an interview for Marca back in November, he said that he loves being in all parts of the field. He also revealed a fascinating thing from his youth days that completely changed his mindset. I hated running, and I hated training. I thought I had the qualities and that was it. I felt that why, if I could play forward? It was hard for me to understand, but I had a coach at Penarol who did like to defend, and he said, if you don't defend, you're not going to play. I quit. When you don't play, you start to understand everything. Then, this was the time when I convinced myself that I'm not going to lose to anyone, and I'm going to try to be better than anyone, fight harder than anyone, and I'm going to be number one in collaborating in defense and attack. Yes, he never said that he took it from Gerrard or anything like that, but you could argue that they are very similar in that department. In fact, Gerrard's ability on and off the ball has often set the standard for midfield excellence. His versatility allowed him to excel in a variety of midfield roles, from deep-lying playmaker to attacking midfielder. Stevie G possessed a unique blend of physicality and technical ability, characterized by powerful runs, precise passing, and a spectacular ability to score from distance. However, his defensive contributions were just as significant, as he was remembered for some incredibly crucial tackles and interceptions, even deep in his own half, which is quite rare when talking about a player described as a midfielder. Yes, it's not known that Gerrard is the man behind the term box-to-box midfielder, but it's fair to say that the Englishman was the epitome of the role. And before we bring today's episode to a close, I'm going to challenge you to think of one midfielder in the current game who has the versatility, energy, stamina, and work rate of Valverde. Yes, of course, I know there is no such player at this level, but if you can think of one playing for a team at a lower class, feel free to drop your suggestions below. Also, if you enjoyed that one, please consider subscribing to the channel or check out our latest upload, in which we talked about a player who might actually come close to being the answer of the riddle. Of course, I'm talking about Liverpool's Dominik Szoboszlai. So, go ahead and watch it. I'll be waiting for you there.